Bear cub desperately begged for fish. When Fisherman found out why, he couldn't hold back tears. The bear cub kept coming to the fisherman at the lake to ask for fish. When the fisherman finally learned the real reason for the bear cub's visits, he couldn't hold back his tears. John, an avid fisherman, cherished the tranquility of rivers and lakes, often venturing out alone to enjoy the serenity of nature. One spring morning, eager to explore a new fishing spot recommended by a friend, he rose before dawn. With his gear in hand, he set off into the cool, sunny morning. The crisp forest air filled his lungs as the cheerful chirping of birds echoed around him. Arriving at the lake, John found an ideal spot and began setting up, ready for another peaceful day by the water. John carefully took out his favorite rod and expertly secured the bait. With a smooth motion, he cast his line into the clear, shimmering lake and settled in to wait. The water was so transparent that he could see fish darting gracefully beneath the surface. Before long, the float bobbed, sending a thrill of anticipation through him. After a brief but exhilarating struggle, John triumphantly reeled in a large, gleaming trout, a satisfied grin spreading across his face. The fishing was going exceptionally well, and before long, several fish were splashing in John's net. Completely immersed in the rhythm of his craft, he paid little attention to his surroundings. Suddenly, a rustling sound behind him broke his focus. Turning cautiously, John spotted a small bear cub watching his catch with curious eyes. He froze, unsure of how to respond to the unexpected visitor. He understood that the mother bear might be nearby and didn't want to provoke a potentially dangerous situation. However, the bear cub showed no signs of aggression. He simply looked at the fish with hungry eyes. On impulse, John took a small trout from his net and carefully tossed it to the bear cub. The cub quickly devoured half the fish John gave him, then grabbed the rest and darted into the forest. Shrugging, John assumed the cub was being cautious and decided to eat in a safer spot. Returning to his fishing, John soon caught several more large fish. To his surprise, about an hour later, the cub returned. Without hesitation, John offered him another fish. Once again, the cub ate a small portion and carried the rest into the forest. Intrigued by this odd behavior, John decided that if the cub returned, he would follow to uncover the mystery. He didn't have to wait long. Just a couple of hours later, the cub reappeared by the lake. John gave him a fish, and as soon as the creature disappeared into the forest, the man cautiously followed. He tried to stay at a distance to avoid scaring the animal. Making his way through the tall grass, John moved as quietly as possible. He followed the bear cub's trail, noting broken branches and trampled grass. Driven by curiosity, John pushed forward until the forest opened into a small clearing. The sight before him filled him with pity and anger. A severely injured mother bear lay struggling to breathe, while her cub placed fish in front of her. John approached cautiously, careful not to startle them. The mother bear's hind leg was badly injured, likely from an illegal poacher's trap, and the inflamed wound left her unable to stand. The cub noticed John and stood protectively between him and his mother, growling a warning. John stopped, showing that he was no threat and didn't intend to harm them. The man quietly spoke, trying to calm the scared cub. Gradually, the cub calmed down, probably recognizing the person who had been feeding him fish and trusting him. John slowly took a sandwich from his pocket and placed it on the ground. The bear cub cautiously took the food John offered and brought it to his injured mother. Realizing he couldn't leave them vulnerable to poachers, John quickly called the local wildlife service, relieved that there was mobile reception in the forest. After explaining the situation, he was assured that a rescue team was on the way. As he waited, John stayed still to avoid alarming the bear. He watched, moved to tears, as the cub cared for its mother, bringing her water in his paws and trying to clean her wound. After an agonizing hour and a half, the sound of an approaching helicopter signaled that help had arrived. Soon, a team of rescuers and veterinarians landed in the clearing. They quickly assessed the situation and got to work. The veterinarians carefully sedated the bear to provide her with first aid. They treated the wound and administered antibiotics and painkillers. Meanwhile, the rescuers prepared special stretchers to transport the large animal. The bear cub was scared, but John calmed him with gentle words and a reassuring touch. Understanding the humans were helping his mother, the cub was also taken to the rehabilitation center for safety, with John volunteering to accompany them. During the hour-long flight, the cub nestled quietly in John's arms. Upon arrival, the mother bear underwent surgery to save her injured leg, while John stayed with the cub, soothing and feeding him. After surgery, the mother bear was placed in a recovery enclosure, with the cub nearby to comfort her. John visited the center almost every day to check on his charges. The bear's recovery was slow but steady. Thanks to the veterinarian's efforts and the cub's care, she gradually regained her strength. John watched with joy as the bear became more active each day. Meanwhile, the story of the bears and cubs' rescue gained wide attention in the local media. Many people were touched by the cub's selflessness and John's kindness. This drew attention to the poaching problem in the region. Local authorities increased forest patrols and toughened penalties for illegal hunting. Volunteers organized raids to find and destroy poacher traps and snares. John also participated in these activities, concerned for other forest residents who might fall victim to poachers. Within weeks, the mother bear regained her strength, her steps growing steadier with the cub always by her side. John was deeply moved, watching the cub care for her with devotion. One day, John was relieved to hear the rangers had caught the poachers responsible, ensuring the forest's safety. As the mother bear recovered, the cub grew more attached to John, eagerly seeking his attention. While John cherished these moments, he knew their release into the wild was approaching, filling him with bittersweet emotions. Finally, 2 months after the rescue, the veterinarians announced that the bear was fully recovered and ready to return to the forest. It was decided to release the animals in a sanctuary near the place where they were found. This day was exciting for everyone. John personally escorted the bear and her cub to their new home. When the cages were opened, the animals hesitated to come out. The cub peeked outside, as if assessing the surroundings, then looked at John, as if asking for permission. John nodded encouragingly, and the cub took his first step to freedom. The mother bear followed him. They stopped at the edge of the clearing, looking around. John watched with a swirl of emotions as the bears explored the familiar scents of the forest. Just as he thought they were gone, the cub suddenly turned and bounded back to him. Standing on its hind legs, it placed its small paws on John's legs and looked up at him with eyes filled with gratitude and affection. Overwhelmed by the moment, John knelt down and gently stroked the cub's soft, furry head one last time, feeling a deep, unspoken connection between them. The mother bear let out a low growl, gently calling her cub. The little one cast John one final curious glance before scampering back to its mother. Together, they vanished into the dense forest, leaving John with a profound sense of accomplishment tinged with a touch of melancholy. That moment became a turning point in John's life. Inspired by the encounter, he devoted himself to nature conservation, actively participating in environmental projects and educational programs to promote the protection of wildlife. John often shares the story of the cub and its mother, using it to encourage others to act more responsibly toward the environment. He still enjoys revisiting the spots where he once helped the bears, cherishing the memories of that encounter. Though he never saw them again, park rangers occasionally report sightings of a bear with a grown cub. These updates always filled John with a deep sense of joy and fulfillment, knowing he played a small part in their survival. What an incredible story! If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so please leave a comment below. See you in the next video.